Yeah, it's just like you said, it's a cultural connotation. It's definitely cultural. And this morning, I did a post about this space, and what I was just telling a story about how I'm somebody who personally really finds it difficult to ask anyone for money. You know, um, Let me just tell a short story. During my service year, I remember I was staying with my uncle in Lagos, and he was taking care of me. He wasn't complaining. And one day I went flat broke. I didn't have any money, and I didn't want to ask him for money. The only thing that I had in my pocket was 20 naira, that I found in one of my jeans. And I think I had maybe 1,000 or 2,000 in my bank account. So what did I do? I trekked from Penn Cinema to Fagba. That is more than like 3 kilometers, just trying to look for an ATM that was working. Now, this is over 10 years ago. So, for maybe the Gen Zs that are listening, it's not like these days where you would look to the right and you would see like a bank with a functioning ATM. At the time, you would have to be very strategic with the bank that you go to so that your card doesn't get, as we used to call it then, swallowed, or so that maybe you don't get your money. So I was trekking that distance and I was just thinking about my life, feeling sorry for myself. I said I wasn't going to call my mom because I didn't want to stress her. Eventually, I found an ATM, and when I tried to withdraw, the machine told me that I couldn't withdraw all the money that I had. So that was the balance, and they were taking it. I could not withdraw anything. So I had to take myself back, trekking back. And when it was getting late, I just stopped a bike man and I told him, I said, look, I have 20 naira in my pocket. You know what you do? This is what we're going to do. You're going to take me to where my 20 naira expires and you drop me and I'll trek the rest. So he carried me and he was so kind to have dropped me in the front of my estate. But eventually, because I knew I had to go to work the next day, I had to open up to tell my uncle what was going on. Even though I didn't tell him that I trekked from London to Nigeria, but he would have been mad, but he gave me the money. So it's that mindset that I had for such a long time, about the whole stigma about borrowing. I was ashamed to even ask my family members for money. I'd say I would never borrow to anybody. I'd rather do the giving. I wouldn't want to be the one to borrow. So it took me, switching to the financial sector and educating myself about lending for me to start seeing the benefits of borrowing for personal and business purposes. And I think that there are a lot of people that have my former mindset and bias towards borrowing. So in order to change that mindset, I think it will take a conscious effort. And in my opinion, I think that there are about three institutions that will be responsible for driving this change. And the first that comes to my mind is the family. I feel like the family is the number one institution that sets the tone. And that is because parents are the ones that are responsible for shaping the way their children are raised. So they are the ones who determine what we praise. They determine what is also shamed. And borrowing should never be one of the things that parents should either privately or publicly shame others or even their children for. Now, I think the second will be educational sector. In Africa, I think the concept of borrowing should be taught more from a young age. So whether it's through business studies as a subject or economics, I think we need to start teaching our children to understand the concept of money, how they can start to build their credits, by putting in the right practices early on, and how much the quality of their lives and that of their parents can be improved through loans. And then the third I would say is the financial institutions. So we need to consciously, keep educating and sensitizing potential and existing customers about borrowing, letting them know that it is actually legal, it is legitimate source of funds, and they can actually get access to loans, by maintaining that good borrower behavior. So what I think is that when these three major institutions, which is the family, education, and financial service, when they work together to enlighten people, I believe that the mindset eventually will change.